Please note that the views expressed on this program are those of the individuals who speak them, and not necessarily those of Portsmouth Community Radio, its Board of Trustees, members, volunteers, or underwriters. Good evening, and welcome to Spirit Radio with your host, Willy Hassel. Ghosts, spirits, hauntings. This is the show where we take you on a journey. A journey into the unknown, where the paranormal becomes the normal. A journey to a world cloaked in darkness, where reality becomes a thin line. So sit back, relax, and join us as we venture into the shadows, the darkness, the unknown, and back. Hey, well, welcome once again to Spirit Radio, the Paranormal Experience. I don't know who that voice was there on that. Didn't sound like me. My CD must be getting worn out.
I think that's Willy in the future.
In the future. Yeah, maybe that's what it is. Okay. Anyways, ghosts, spirits, UFOs, Bigfoot. Nothing is off limits here, because this is the show where the paranormal becomes the normal. And I am your host, Willy Hassel, the gatekeeper to the dark side, your guide to the realm of the unknown, the unseen, the unthinkable. And she is always lovely. She's always mystical and very mysterious. And she's smiling again. And her name is Lynne Nickerson.
Good evening, Willy.
Good evening, Lynne. How are you?
I'm doing just fine. How are you?
Oh, I'm great. I'm just loving this balmy
35 degrees.
Well, it went down to 30.
Oh, it did.
We
must have gotten a heck of a wind.
I know it. 5-degree drop in the last 2 minutes here. What's going on?
Maybe it just refreshed.
Refreshed?
Yeah, I think the screen refreshed.
Yeah, that could be what it was.
Yeah.
So anyways, our scheduled guest tonight, Jesse Marcel, author of the Aliens at Roswell. Yeah, that one. Thank you.
Yeah.
He had to
go on a trip.
Yeah, he had to cancel on us for tonight, but we will reschedule him at some point here.
We're very anxious to talk to him about Roswell.
Yes. I wanted to find out all about the Roswell incident from somebody on the inside that actually knows.
Yeah, he should be in the know. He's the grandson of the original Major Jesse Marcel, who discovered the crash at Roswell. He has a wealth of information. It's very intriguing.
He does. So, now what? Is there anything else you want to talk about? Should we just put on a song, pack up, and go home?
Well, we've covered the weather.
Yes, we've covered the weather.
And I was thinking maybe. As that intro is just very appropriate especially because of tonight's subject.
And what would tonight's subject be? Did you have something in mind?
I did, and that would be the Skinwalker Ranch in Utah.
The Skinwalker Ranch. Hey, you know what? I've heard of that.
Yep, just outside of Ballard, Utah.
Yeah, somewhere in the northeastern part of the state there, out in the desert.
That's right.
It's been referred to as one of the strangest places on Earth, I believe.
Some of the weirdest things have taken place there, and they have for the last 50 years or so. And there's been a tremendous amount of investigation that's gone on there. And we've got a little bit of information on that tonight. So we were going to talk about that, and if any of the listening audience has had any similar experiences, any comments, any questions, please call in at 603-430-9722, and we'd love to take your comments and questions, and especially would love to hear your stories if you've had any similar experiences once we start talking about this.
Or if you just want to call in and say hi, that's fine too.
Can say hi too.
We're agreeable to that. Or another thing you can do if you want to just contact us and leave us a message, a comment, maybe a suggestion for a guest or anything like that, you can send an email to WHassell, that's WHASSELL, at WSCAFM.org. Or you can send it to...
Or you can send it to L. Nickerson, NICKERSON, at WSCAFM.org.
And either way, we will get them, and we'd love to hear from you. Just email us, say hi if you want. That'll be fine.
Please, we'd love some feedback from the show and something that if you'd like to hear about, please let us know.
Let's see. Large balls of light, tracks of raptor-type birds leaving large prints about a foot long in the snow and then disappearing. What looks like 3 Bigfoot
have been sighted, yeah.
Cattle mutilations, portals. There are portals on the property.
4.
Yes, 4 of them, to be exact. There are 4 portals on the property. There's an extremely large wolf-type creature, UFOs, ghosts. But pretty much, you know, if it's paranormal, you name it, it's there.
Only there's been a multitude of people that have seen these things. Let's get back to what exactly Skinwalker means. The Native American legend, Skinwalker is a person with supernatural powers who's able to turn itself into an animal, any animal desired. And typically, this is a feature of witchcraft. So anybody that does this does not really have good intentions. And it's usually the witches that do this, and they oftentimes, or they used to in the past, wear a pelt of the animal that they wanted to turn into. It's kind of like getting the animal's chi, and they become the animal. So that's what a skinwalker is, and the reason the ranch has been named this is because there have been so many strange sightings that couldn't possibly be typical animals that the Native Americans have suspected that this would be the land of the skinwalkers, because so many strange things have happened here, and they weren't all good.
Definitely weren't all good.
No. And things have been happening for about 50 years, so this isn't just... it's the land. I kind of think it's the land that is really conducive to this sort of thing.
Well, actually, it's been happening for a lot more than 50 years, hasn't it? I mean,
it's been noted for 50 years,
right,
at least.
But I mean, wasn't there... like a couple of 1,000-year-old petroglyphs.
Yeah, there are some on the site, yeah.
Indian petroglyphs that depicted UFOs and things like that.
I guess there were. Yeah, that have been lately deciphered.
So it's been going on for a long, long time.
So, in our research, we found that like in 1994 to 1996, the property was owned by the Sherman family, and they actually only stayed there for about 18 months. But during the course, of course, they're trying to run a ranch, their cattle kept dying, and they had a herd of about 80 animals, and 18 of the animals had been killed and mutilated. And we're talking, the precision cuts and so forth. So it wasn't just marauding predators that had done this, at least not the type that we know of. And then they were also plagued with incidents happening in the house, like poltergeist activity, ghosts, strange noises, all kinds of strange lights. They couldn't sleep. One particular incident that was remarked, this family had come home from shopping, and they brought all the bags of groceries into the kitchen, and they put everything away, and somebody just turned around, and all of the groceries had been placed back in the bags in a split second. And I find that intriguing, because to me, either it's a mark of magic, or maybe there's like a time slip going on there, or...
Well, one thing is for sure, there's definitely something very strange about that.
Yeah, it's hard to define.
It is. It's hard to define exactly, what is going on. Is it some sort of a time slip thing, or is it a poltergeist activity? Maybe, a ghost that put the groceries back in the bag? Who knows?
Well, pretty fast ghost, though, huh?
Well, I mean...
Blink of an eye and everything's redone.
Right. If you could go home, put your groceries on the table, and have it work like that the other way.
Wouldn't that be nice?
That would be great, wouldn't it?
That would be great.
You just turn around and bang, all your groceries are put away.
Ghost was working at cross purposes. None of that.
Okay.
So the family put up with this for about 18 months, and they wanted to sell, and they had a hard time finding any buyers, as you would well imagine. They did a little bit of their own investigation, but really they were just victimized. So along comes this gentleman by the name of Robert Bigelow. He had a lifelong interest in paranormal activity, and he happens to be a billionaire, and he decided to buy that property from these people and let them unload it.
So he decided he'd do them a favor and he'd buy it from them for his own purposes.
We don't quite know the end result, but it would kind of seems that way. So Mr. Bigelow is a multi-billionaire. He lives in Las Vegas, Nevada. He has a company called Bigelow Aerospace, and he makes like space stations, modules. He's trying to build a space station, a space hotel, as I understand.
And as I understand it, he actually has part of this already in orbit.
He has a module of some kind. He has two pieces floating, two craft in space.
Yeah, two modules waiting to be added to
evidently, to assemble. So one thing that is kind of outstanding, I don't know how those got launched. That's kind of a mystery. That didn't seem to be covered.
Nobody seemed to mention that part, huh?
Yeah. Perhaps he worked with NASA on doing that. I don't know. But he does, purportedly, he has two pieces up there, two spacecraft orbiting the Earth now.
But you know what? I'll bet if you asked, NASA wouldn't.
Well, it could have been something that was up front. Who knows?
Well,
You never know. That part of the story was never really clarified.
But anyways, he apparently does have him up there, and he's ready to add on to him and build whatever it is that he's building up there.
Yeah. Well, before doing this, he developed an investigative team, and he called it NIDS, the National Institute for Discovery Science. So he assembled his own investigation team, and they tried to gather as much scientific evidence as possible as to what was going on at the property.
I was just going to say, this investigation team was for the ranch, correct? To investigate the happenings on the ranch.
Right, what was going on at the ranch, because it was such a puzzle, nobody seemed to have any answers. And Mr. Bigelow has this lifelong interest in the paranormal anyway. So, and he had the means to do this, so he assembled this group of people. And the person who headed up the investigation was a retired colonel, and his name is Colonel John Alexander. And he headed up the team, and he was this particular clip is on YouTube, and he talks about some of the evidence that they acquired, and it seems to be about the only thing that several people witnessed that could kind of be measured. And what it was, they had set up cameras, and they had put some cameras on platforms, and this one particular camera stopped working, and within three frames of film, it's hard for me to say.
I'm not even going to try it.
The camera stopped. The wire was broken. A piece of wire was taken out of it, which disappeared. The duct tape holding the wiring completely disappeared. It was taken off. And the bolt holding the camera in place was bent. And in those 3 frames, all of this was done while the cattle were standing there. So typically, if there are cattle standing around and someone comes into the field, they kind of scatter, but they did not react to this happening. So it was obviously done in a split second, you know.
Right. You got to remember 3 frames.
32.
See, I can't say it either.
How many frames to a second? 32 frames?
Average is 32 frames per second, I believe. So 3 frames is just like, a split second. So what happened in that short amount of time? Did time stop, I wonder?
It makes you ask that question, doesn't it?
It makes me wonder, yes.
Yeah, it's almost as if something was put on hold and something operated in another dimension and then flipped the switch back on again. Because how do you explain that?
I don't explain it, but it just reminded me of something.
What's that?
If I have the right program. Didn't they do that? There was an old TV show called The Wild Wild West. And didn't they used to do things like that? They just stopped time and things would go on.
I'm lost, Willie. I don't remember that.
Okay.
I do remember Bob Conrad. He starred in it.
Yeah,
but I don't remember the time stop thing.
Maybe I'm thinking of the wrong show.
Oh, okay.
It could be.
Never mind.
Yeah, okay. Well, we'll just let that go. That was one of my little pieces of disinformation, just to keep the audience confused.
You got to have that. You got to stay right on the edge.
That's right.
Keep people guessing.
I keep people guessing all the time.
So, after 8 years, I'm sure they gathered a whole lot of information, but...
I'm sure they did.
But Mr. Bigelow wasn't forthcoming in the information that they gathered. There didn't seem to be any real conclusion, at least not publicly. And some of the other things that happened, the Sherman family did witness 4 portals, like sort of the sky opening up and UFOs coming. And there was one particular reporter, his name is Colm Kelleher. He witnessed one of these portals at one time. Apparently there were several incidents of these portals opening up. And he said that he saw a yellow orb, and it got larger. It was hovering over the property, and it increased in size, and then he said it sort of developed a tunnel, and then there was a shadow coming down through the tunnel that seemed to be humanoid, and as it got closer to the edge of what appeared to be the tunnel, it was definitely humanoid, only it was a giant, and it jumped off of the edge of the tunnel onto the ground. It was about 4 feet off the ground, and then it ran across the property and disappeared.
Just disappeared out of sight. What do you think these portals actually are?
Well, there's different philosophies. There's a theory of time folding in on itself, and I don't quite understand that.
No, that's a little bit much for me.
Well, yeah. Who really knows?
Yeah, who really knows? I mean, they talk about portals in haunted houses and where portals to the other side where ghosts come in and out, and I don't know if it's the same type of theory of portal.
That's a good question. I don't either.
It's an entirely different thing.
I think there's a question of a switch in dimensions, and I don't know if it has something to do with a vortex.
I don't know.
That UFOs come down through.
That's a good question.
But it did seem to be a channel of some kind where either humanoids or UFOs themselves can travel through. Who knows? It may be the end of a black hole, but no one seems to really know.
If anybody out there has some idea what a portal is, give us a call. 603-430-9722.
I would love to hear from you. We find this stuff very bizarre, and all of this has happened. It's been well documented.
Oh yeah, this is not something we're just making up as we're sitting here. This is all documented. This place really exists. There really is a Bigelow Aerospace out in Nevada.
And one of the other sightings had been an extremely large wolf-type creature that left tracks that seemed to end and went nowhere, and this as well as with a raptor. There was a raptor-type bird that had a foot-long print in the snow. We're talking a huge print.
Yeah, that is a big bird.
So that's a big bird. Now, Native Americans believe that thunderbirds still exist. And there are sightings of them, like even in New Jersey, I've heard this, as well as out west. But that would be a very large bird, and it seems to me that it rings of dinosaurs and creatures that
that
used to live.
To
and again, it almost seems like a time thing. What if something from the past came through that portal and visited? It's all very bizarre. It's awfully hard to explain. And Willy's on the phone right now. I think we've got a caller who's interested. Does our caller have a question?
Yes. Let me see here. Let me bring him up. We have Jim from
get him on the line.
From Hampton on the line. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Jim. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Great. Thanks for calling in.
I love your program.
Oh, thank you.
Sitting here listening to it, and I have on the desk in front of me some pictures that I took of. I took a lot of them, actually, petroglyphs and pictoglyphs in Utah.
Oh.
Now, many of these, the petroglyphs, of course, being the ones you probably already know that were carved into the rock, into the desert rock. Pictoglyphs were like painted on with some kind of natural coloring.
Chalk or whatever, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And most of the ones that I found out there that I photographed are fairly easy to explain. They're the usual Indian symbols: wheel of life, antlered, free-swearing deer antlers, snakes, fish, game. But there were some in particular that I got in the place. I believe it's called Elkhorn Canyon. You can find these panels online, by the way.
Oh, I've heard that. I've heard of Elkhorn.
And it's north of a little town. Ghost town, actually, called Thompson, which in itself is a whole other story. It's one of the strangest places I've ever been to.
I have been to Thompson myself, too.
You have?
Well, I have,
Jim,
yes.
Why would
place, isn't it?
It is a very strange place.
Why do you call it strange? How do you define strange?
The town itself, it looks like everything just stopped. I mean,
really?
Cafe there, and the soda glasses and everything, menus are still on the counter. It's as though all the people were just sucked up and disappeared, you know?
Are you sure it's still there?
I'm sure it's still there. I was there. I saw it. I even have pictures of it.
Really?
But yeah, I know what he's talking about. All the counters and the menus and
everything
glasses
is old.
And everything in the diner is just like
from the 50s or something.
Probably, yeah. And it's just like it wasn't like the place closed up and they packed it away, and it's just like...
It never changed.
Yeah, it just ceased.
Wow.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe this was an alien thing that, they got sucked up, but it's a very strange place.
Anyway,
I'm sorry, Jim. Go ahead.
Yes, go ahead, Jim.
Going back much further than that, up the road, a dirt road that leads up into the canyons, north of Thompson, there are some well-known panels of pictoglyphs up there that were probably done by the Hopi. And sadly, some of them have bullet holes in them.
Yeah, these are target practice.
Disgusting.
In many places there, people are such ignorant jerks that they shoot at these priceless things.
Yeah, they didn't know the value.
Yes, and but these panels, in addition to the usual Native American symbolisms, they really seem to have pictures which look seem to indicate some kind of alien being, space
Faces?
gods or something. I mean, they're different than other ones that I saw, and I'm just wondering if you have any thoughts on that the Indian civilizations out there may have been visited by extraterrestrials long ago. The Anasazi were highly developed people out there also, and for some strange unknown reason, they just disappeared.
Yeah, their civilization did just sort of dissipate. I don't know the mythology of all the different tribes, but many of them believe they come from the stars. So that's not a new idea. That's very real. Had you heard of that, Jim?
Yes, I heard that, yeah.
And let me just add to that. There is a tribe in Africa called the Dogon. And every year, I shouldn't say every year, every 50 years, they have a celebration because they celebrate their connection to a star. And they say that they were from that star, and right now I'm forgetting what the name of it is. But it's a star that we didn't know existed until the 21st century. They say that they came from that star. So, a very primitive tribe, how did they know this unless, you have to listen to the mythology of the different tribes because there is value in that. There's factual truth. I find it fascinating.
Yeah, I'm open to ideas on that because I've seen these paintings for myself, and I know that the Southwest is a very mystic place.
Oh, very mystical. Yeah,
very much.
Jim, tell me. Oh, go ahead.
Looking through my photos of the trip, it was giving me some serious desert cravings. I will have to say that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, especially this time of year.
Yeah, really.
Jim, tell me, was there anything in your pictures or that you saw on the wall that resembled like a flying craft?
No, mostly they appear to be like beings which are different from their usual depictions of warriors and
just beings
and priests that wore the deer horns on their dresses. They appear to be like some of them are look like they have very large eyes, and others have markings and things on them which are kind of atypical for other things that I saw out there.
Wow!
And it's a very, very, very strange place. The whole area there, that canyon in particular, and it's just an eerie kind of a place.
Very mystical. It's very isolated. You just feel like you're stepping back in time. Yeah. Wow. Well,
well, I'll hang up and let you get back to your. But back to what you were talking about.
All right. Thank you very much for calling in, Jim. That was very interesting.
Yes, thank you, Jim. Thank you for the call.
I love your show.
Thank you.
Thank you. And on that note, we're coming to the bottom of the hour here. And so we're going to take a little short break, and we will be back very, very soon. welcome back. You're listening to Spirit Radio, the Paranormal Experience. And from the community calendar, which Lynn is trying to take away from me here, York, Maine, the town library is expanding its evening hours. Starting January 14th, 2014, the library will be open from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. Friday and Saturday hours remain the same from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Fridays and 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Saturdays. For more information, you can call 207-363-2818. And I believe Lynn has a little something that she would like to talk about here.
Yes, I'm doing a study on time slips. We were talking about time slips and time travel. And this time slips I'm referring to when you have an experience that you find yourself in another period, or you dream of another period that comes to pass. You find out that everything you dreamt about is actually real. So it's all connected to time travel and time slips and going into maybe another dimension. I would think it would have to be another dimension, but I'm doing a study on this. And if anybody has experienced anything like that, I'd love to hear from you. This is information that will eventually go into a book, and I would use your example with your permission if you're interested. And you can contact me at lnickerson@wscafm.org, and that's NICKERSON. And we also have our segment of paranormal news and views. And Willie has something he wants to talk to you about. And I'm going to take a piece here from Fate magazine. It's the January-February issue of 2011. And it's entitled Mass Bird Deaths. And this was going on quite a bit in 2011. There were about 3 different instances where birds or fish had died in mass. And so there's a comment in here on Fate magazine about that. Early this year, more than 1,000 blackbirds, this year being 2011, dropped dead out of the sky over Beebe, Arkansas. The birds fell over a 1-mile area, and an aerial survey indicated that no other dead birds were found out of the area. Arkansas Game and Fish Commissioner ornithologist Karen Rowe said that birds showed physical trauma, and she speculated that the flock could have been hit by lightning or by high-altitude hail. The commissioner said that the New Year's Eve revelers shooting the fireworks in the area could have startled the birds from their roost and caused them to die from the stress. A few days later, another bird die-off was reported in a small town near Baton Rouge, Louisiana. This time it was an estimated 500 red-winged blackbirds and starlings. Some of the dead birds were dumped in groups, lying face down, while others were lying on their backs with their wings outstretched and their legs pointing rigidly upward. Laboratories determined that the birds all died from high-impact injuries, probably from flying into something at high speed. Spokesman speculated that flocks of nesting birds had been startled by professional-grade fireworks being set off in the area, causing them to fly wildly about. One has to assume that fireworks were being detonated in both Arkansas and Louisiana, as well as in Faenza, Italy, where 700 turtle doves similarly, there we go, fell dead from the sky at about the same time. So, why no mass bird deaths around, say, like July 4th, when they're really shooting fireworks? And why, for the first time, apparently, were hundreds of birds being slaughtered by fireworks worldwide at the same time? And do fireworks account for the recent mass fish and livestock deaths? Well, one suspects that there might be more there than meets the eye. So high impact, they're saying, killed those birds.
Yeah, you know, I remember that happening.
Very odd.
2011, yeah. I remember hearing the reports of all the birds.
Birds dying and the fish dying.
Yeah, and the fish, and there was frogs too, wasn't there?
There were frogs. Yeah. There were frogs. And the odd thing is, it's like one type. I mean, the blackbird, red-winged blackbirds and the starlings. Yeah. And then
I don't buy the fireworks theory myself.
No, I don't either. And it's almost like a certain certain vibration of an entity, of a creature is targeted, maybe their heart rate or their metabolic rate or something. I mean, people can go deaf with sound. People can be killed by sound.
Yep.
And who's not to say that birds could be killed by sound, which is vibration?
Right.
So,
exactly, yeah.
What would be the source of the sound? Who knows? But
I don't know. But that kind of brings up a subject that I was going to
brings up
bring
something that touches on what you've got to say.
Yeah. Did you have another one, or is it my turn?
No, that is it. It is your turn.
It is my turn. Okay. Well, this comes out of Canada. And speaking of sounds, noises, a creepy noise haunting the Canadian sky has locals whispering about UFOs and the end of the world. But one scientist, he thinks he knows the source of the awful screeches, and it's just as weird. At 7:30 a.m. on Wednesday, residents of Terrace, British Columbia, woke to a terrifying sound piercing the air over their small city, a horrible metallic noise that sent Kimberly Wookie scrambling for a way to collect evidence of the disturbance. This is the second time I have heard these sounds here in Terrace, BC, Canada, she wrote on her YouTube page. I shot out of bed like a bat out of hell, realizing it was the same sounds I had heard before, and I ran looking for my camera to try and capture them. After calming her son down, who claimed that the phenomena shook his windows, Kimberly managed to make a recording of the eerie sounds, which she promptly shared with the Internet. Terrace-based local news channel CFTK TV became aware of the bizarre event after reports began to flood in from area residents worried about the biblical apocalypse, alien spacecraft, and government weather machines. So they reached out to the University of Saskatchewan for answers. According to a professor of physics, the scary sky sounds aren't the result of an impending invasion, but rather due to electromagnetic noise emitted from radiation belts in the auroras. Of course, that explanation hasn't been adequate for everyone, including myself. Although most unexpected balking has come from skeptics who believe the entire event was simply a hoax perpetrated by Kimberly herself. So what do you think? Are the eerie mechanical groans a result of stray radiation, an extraterrestrial battle cry, or just a Wookiee through a loudspeaker? Well, I have the recording of these sounds, and I'm going to play a little of that for you. And
keep in mind that this is not the first time this has happened.
That's right. Come on, let's go. Okay, that is what Kimberly recorded that morning in British Columbia. And if that was the only time I had ever heard of anything like this, I would say that, this is just,
maybe
something
you can
probably
explain
fake.
it away.
But it is not. These sounds have been heard all over the world. And
from the sky, it's like you can't discern the source. And it all sounds like scraping metal or metal being cut with a buzzsaw.
And in some cases, it sounds like trumpets.
Yep, there's been that sound, too.
There have been reports on major news networks of these sounds coming out of the sky. One of them was even during a Major League Baseball game. They actually...
That's right, and they were talking about it at the baseball game.
Yep, they actually stopped during the game because they heard these strange sounds in the sky. So, I don't know. What is it? Where is it coming from?
If you've got any ideas, let us know.
Yeah, I certainly don't have any ideas. That is for sure. So we're gonna take another little quick break here, and we will be back in just a minute.
Pack up all those phantoms, shoulder that invisible load. Keep on riding north and west.
Hi, this is Sal Nicosia from the Haunted Shanley Hotel in Napanock. You are listening to Spirit Radio with Willie Hassel and Lynne Nickerson on WSCA 106.1 FM.
All right, and we are back on Spirit Radio, the Paranormal Experience.
Hi again.
And we're talking about strange things in the desert of northeastern Utah, specifically the Skinwalker Ranch and Robert Bigelow and the Aerospace Corporation and what is going on.
Yeah, well, let's get into Mr. Bigelow a little bit. According to Alex Jones, who has a conspiracy radio show, he kind of thinks that Mr. Bigelow is the front man for someone else's ulterior motives, in other words, some invisible backers. And everyone's asking, who might these backers be? This retired Colonel John Alexander, who was one of the investigators, he's a real interesting character. Hold on just a moment here.
We do have a caller on the line.
We do. Oh, great.
And let's see if we can bring her up here. Deb, are you there?
Hi, how are you guys?
Hi, Deb. Thanks
Good.
for calling in.
Good. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. World of the Paranormal is getting exciting again.
The world of the paranormal is always exciting, isn't it?
It is. But one of the reasons I am calling is because we have Berkshire Paranormal has a ghost hunt coming up.
Very
Lennox,
good.
Mass.
Ooh.
At Bedford Hall in April. Tickets are going on sale at the end of the month.
You can't mention any prices here or anything.
Nope.
Okay.
It's very reasonable, though.
Okay.
I'm hoping we can get you guys to maybe come down and join us for that.
Nice.
We would love to.
That
Yeah.
sounds
What was the
interesting.
date on this?
It's Saturday, April 26th.
Ooh.
Saturday.
I'm going to make note of that right now.
Yeah, but there's a minor problem with Saturdays.
That's all. It is a
Yeah.
Saturday, isn't it?
Yeah, we're here Saturday
No.
nights.
Just pop some music on. That's all you need.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we'll just run a best of and
There you go. I mean, to hunt, it's a beautiful location. You can't pass this up.
Where is it, Deb?
It's in Lenox, Massachusetts.
Oh, Lenox, sure.
This is in Western Mass, and the house is amazing. And it's huge.
What style?
We're limiting it to 50 people, and I think you could put 100 people in there, and you would not be tripping over each other in that house.
What kind of a house is it?
investigate
What is
it.
the style of the house? It sounds huge.
It's a very old Victorian-style Gothic mansion. If you've seen the movie Cider House Rules, they actually used that house in some of the movie.
Wow.
And how many rooms are there in this place? I know you said it's huge, but
I tried to count the rooms just on the first floor when we were there in November, and I stopped counting at 20.
that was
So,
just
and there were
on.
4 floors.
And that was just on the first floor. Wow.
That was on the first floor, I think there's at least 3 bathrooms just on the first floor.
What was it originally constructed as?
It was originally a private residence, and it was owned by one of the J.P. Morgan daughters.
Oh, enormously
And
wealthy.
it's now a it's obviously a historical landmark, but they've got a museum in there with lots of period pieces from like the Gilded Age, 20s, 30s, 40s.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
So,
You said you already did one investigation there, right?
Yes. We had an event there in November.
And how did that one turn out? Did you get some good evidence?
Yeah, there were people in the basement that reported having rocks and pieces of shingles that I guess were down in the basement being thrown at them.
Wow.
I know up in the attic floor where my group was, we actually heard a little girl voice when we were up in one of the attic rooms.
Did you get any good EVPs?
I didn't take EVPs personally because I was hoping to bring people that had signed up for the event around.
Yeah.
But I believe some people there did get some EVPs. I think they got a man's voice in the basement, which, it's always exciting when you get EVPs.
Yeah, it is. It would be cool sometime, Deb, if you get some good EVPs up there, or anywhere for that matter. If, you could perhaps email them to me and call up some night, and we can play the EVPs over the air.
Oh, sure, absolutely. I have a whole treasure trove of them I could probably send you.
Oh, excellent.
Oh, okay, that'd be great. That'd be great. Why don't you send me some, and we'll work out a night sometime to have you come on for a bit, and we'll play some of them.
That would be great.
Ooh, terrific.
All right, excellent.
So, Deb, let me ask you, have you experienced any kind of time slips or vortexes? Anything like
myself
that?
Personally, no. I think I have, time slips when I lose my keys.
Not mind slip, time slip.
Exactly. But personally, myself, no.
I have time slips every day when I get up.
There you go. You have to wonder where you are and what time you're in.
Exactly, yeah. Why am I doing this? Where am I?
So,
Exactly.
were there any deaths reported in that house?
You see, and that's the thing. I don't know too much about the history. I believe there's at least 2 or 3 that have been associated with it. But I just don't know the specifics.
And how about on the property? Is there any graves on the property?
Not that I know of. I know there's a carriage house that's at the end of the property, and I'm not sure if there was a death there.
Oh.
Yeah, couldn't tell you that information.
Wow, it sounds like a really intriguing investigation. That house sounds beautiful.
It sounds
It's
definitely
fun.
definitely like a place that I would love to go. Like I said, unfortunately, we are here Saturday nights, but maybe sometime.
Maybe sometime we'll get you down there.
Sometime maybe we could do a remote broadcast from an investigation.
That's a possibility.
That would be cool.
That would be
I
really
think
cool.
listeners would like that.
Kind of like Most Haunted or something.
Something like that, yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah,
I think that would be very interesting.
that would be.
Excellent.
Well, I'll have to talk to Nick and Josh and see if we can get something maybe set up.
Yeah, well, we'll have to talk to the powers that be here and
See what we can do?
see how we go about doing that.
Yeah, I think all you would really need is a good Wi-Fi connection and access to the internet, and I think you could probably do it with no problem.
Yeah, and I think we also, though, would have to have somebody here in the studio to be running
To relay
things, too.
it. Yeah. Oh, I'm sure it could be done.
Oh, I know it can be done. I just don't know how yet. I haven't
to figure
gotten
it
that
out.
far in my radio education yet.
Yeah, I know the feeling.
But if there's a will, there's a way.
And my name is Will, so
But yeah, it sounds
clear
like
the
a
way.
great idea. I think I'd love to do something like that and set that up with you guys.
Terrific.
Yeah, that'd be great. And also, it'd be great to have you join us with some EVPs one of these nights. So
Yeah, I'll go through my files here and my little treasure trove, and I'll see what I can find out, and I'll send them up to you.
all right,
Excellent.
that'd be great. And we will be in touch on Facebook.
You got it.
Yeah.
You got it.
Okay, this is Deb from Berkshire Paranormal. Always nice
Have a good night.
always nice to hear from you,
Thanks
Deb.
for
Thank
calling
you.
in, Deb.
All right.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
All right.
Well, that was
that
nice
was-
of her to call.
Yeah, that was a nice invitation.
Yeah, I know it. Nice invitation. Yeah.
Cool. Well, getting back to, we were talking Mr. Bigelow and then Mr. Alexander. And apparently there is such a thing as a treaty, a weapons treaty, an international arms and weapons treaty that says that no one can bring or put weapons in outer space. And institutions, governments, private parties are not supposed to do this either, and the only person that seems to be exempt from that is Mr. Bigelow. Why, we don't know.
Yeah, that is a very good question. Why is he exempt from this?
I don't know. It's odd. And another thing that he did, too, he had a 1-year contract with MUFON. He offered them some money so that they would filter all of their UFO reports to him for a year. So he got all of the information for MUFON, and I don't know if that's still in place, but it was a contract for a year, and that was done in 2010. And then the other odd thing is the FAA has given the directive that anyone calling the FAA to report any sort of UFO activity, they're directed to get a hold of Bigelow Advanced Aerospace Studies. And this was done as a directive in a memo that was dated February 11th, 2010. And now UFO reports are to go to not the government, but to Bigelow Aerospace. So this is very interesting. We don't quite know what Skinwalker Ranch is all about, and Mr. Bigelow isn't saying, but it presents a lot of intriguing questions.
There is a lot of mystery behind the whole, the Skinwalker Ranch and the aerospace and the private
sector.
Yep.
And if anybody's interested in further reading, there's a book out by Combe Kelleher and George Knapp, and the name of it is Hunt for the Skinwalker. Science Confronts the Unexplained in a Remote Ranch in Utah. Very interesting book if you're interested in further researching this. And that's about it.
Yeah, I guess that is about it, because we have once again run out of time.
That's right. So thank you all for listening.
And this has been Spirit Radio, the Paranormal Experience, with Willie Hassel and Lynne Nickerson.
Yes.
Right here on WSCALP 106.1 FM in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. And we will talk to you again next week.
Good night.
In the springtime of the year, when the trees